Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. Good morning, friends. How are you? Welcome this morning. Hope you are well on this chilly and rainy day. That as the remnants of the hurricane are upon us, I hope you're staying warm and doing well. So, um, good morning, everyone. On this we are we're here starting a new month, which is exciting. Hey, John Wills, good morning. I I hope you had a great weekend of fair going. Your post looked like it was a good turnout. Hey, Jane, good morning to you. Hope you and John are well. Karen, good morning. Glad you're here. Always a joy to see you. Good morning, everyone. How I hope everybody had a good weekend and that their time was rich in these kind of October times. You know, this time of the dying of the light. John got to hang out with Jamie and Sarah. That's awesome. How could it not be a great weekend? So true. Exactly. That's great. Good morning, Donna. Glad you're here. Welcome, everybody. No, great. All right. Let's get going this morning at on this the fourth day of October, this Tuesday at 11:11, and I'm glad that you're part of the journey. Glad that you're here, and glad that we're taking a new month together. We've crossed the threshold into a new month, into October. For some of you, this is your very favorite season and your very favorite time. I hope you are one of those people one of these pumpkin spice people who find this just the best time. Uh, so I am glad that you're here today. I want to look at. So there's this story that comes out of Jesus um, being a disciple and teaching the disciples about what kind of this means he's talking about kind of the cost of discipleship. And so if this is in the 14th chapter of Luke. This is this. So there were large crowds traveling with Jesus and turning to him, saying, "If anyone comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple. And whoever does not carry their cross and follow me cannot be my disciple." He goes on to say, "Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you sit down first and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, 'This person began to build and wasn't able to finish it.' Or suppose there was a king about to go to war against another king. Won't he sit down first and consider whether he's able with 10,000 men to oppose the one coming to him with 20,000? If he is not able, will he send a delegation while the other is still a long way off and will ask for terms of peace? In the same way, those who you do not give up everything who cannot be my disciples." Salt is good, but if it loses its saltiness, how can you make it salty again? It, it is fit neither for the soil nor for the manure pile, and it is thrown out. All right, this is one of those, like, what is Jesus talking about? That why can't I like my mom and dad? Why, what are we building things for? Now we're going to war. What is this? What now? It's salt. Like, what am I, a cook? Like, all of these illustrations that he's using again and again and again. Um, but just to consider them for a second, to kind of see what's unified in them and see what's behind it, and this nature of counting the cost of what it is to be a disciple. And this is the whole point that he's getting into. We watched this week, I know we've been talking about it, but it bears repeating, and are continuing to pray for the folks in Nova Scotia and the folks in Fort Myers and the whole southwest coast of Florida, where they are, where the incredible damage from the hurricane, that the watching buildings that I'd been by, that I'd driven by, just be washed away in some of the videos that I saw. Incredibly powerful, incredibly, and so, not just terrifying, but so sad, so profoundly sad to see, these buildings, these places that people invested lives in, being, and everything in it, to just be washed away. Jesus is talking about cost counting, because he's talking about what we're calling important and what we're putting our emphasis on. He's not saying all these things have to be given up. He's not saying we're going to lose all these things. He's not saying that we can't build towers, that we can't have beautiful relationships with our mom and dad, that we can't advocate for the things that we need to advocate from. He's saying that if those things, there's a priority there, if there's a way, if your desire is only and ever to preserve those things, then it's nearly impossible for God to lead you to more joy. To take the hurricane example, there are these beautiful buildings, these beautiful restaurants, these beautiful hotels just being washed away on Fort Myers Beach, which I've been to a number of times. I've been in some of those places, and to see that is so sad. But at the same time, those are fantastic places. There's one down in Bonita Springs docks, which there was a whole video of just watching it wash away. And docks was a particular kind of restaurant, a particular kind of bar that you just find on the southern coast of Florida. That is just more fun has been had in those walls, more things. But because it was kind of a tiki bar kind of place, because it was painted coral colors, because it was on the beach and beautiful and situated where it was vulnerable to a hurricane. But at the same time, it never would have had all the beauty. It never would have had all the great goodness, and never would have had all the great stuff in it had it not been the way it was, had it not been planted where it was, had it not been tended and cared for as a business and as a place of hospitality and food over the years. That none of that would have ever existed had it not actually been vulnerable to the hurricane. When Jesus is talking about the cost of being a disciple, he's saying, there might be relationships in our life that are standing in the way of the goodness of our life or the truth of our life. And they may be even some of the closest relationships. And if we're not willing to risk the truth, then we're lost. If we're not willing to build in a beautiful place, even though it might be vulnerable, we're lost. If we're not willing to kind of figure out and count the cost of building and invest again in places maybe that are perilous, then there's not much that God can do with us, because God's going to take us to bigger places than where we are right now. God invites us to more joy, more truth, more love, more beauty. That's the hope and the invitation of our Heavenly Father. That's the whole idea, is to being drawn out of our smallness into our beauty. And that should we sell our saltiness, should we sell the way, the very thing that God has called us to be, then we've lost our way. And there's really not a lot God can do with us. That whole line of neither is it fit for soil nor manure pile. This idea that there's just not a lot that can be done with us. The south coast of Florida is just travesty. It's a shame that it was washed away. But what were the options? Never build a building in the southwest of Florida? Every building that you have to build has to be a concrete structure that looks like a bunker with just a little slit in it, so that you can drink your pina colada while kind of looking out a little slit, just in case a hurricane comes and should wash it all away. No, we are meant to build in this world. We are meant to love those in this world. We are meant to be in places that sometimes the world will overwhelm, sometimes will be destroyed, sometimes will not. But we must not be deterred by the things that we might lose. We can't never have a tiki bar on the beach because there might be a hurricane one day. We can't never love people because we might get hurt. We can't never declare our truth in the world, though mom and dad might not approve, or we haven't laid the foundations, or we haven't counted the cost. You see, Jesus is talking about cost counting because what he's suggesting is that this cost counting, and man, we're in it. I sometimes counsel couples, and that the whole idea of covenantal relationship is in peril in a lot of ways. Covenants are not 50-50 agreements. Covenants are not 50-50. Covenants are not contracts. Contracts are, one party agrees to certain things, the other party agrees to certain things, and then should either party violate the contract, then the contract can be nullified. That love and following God's call for us is not a contractual thing; it's a covenantal thing. It's 100% and 100%. It is being all in, every hand, for each moment of our being. And that doesn't mean we're not going to get hurt, or doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect and beautiful. It means that we're inherently going to fall. And yet, we have to invest in these things anyway. It's not when somebody lets us down that we run for the hills. It's not when we can't finish the tower. It's what do we do when we can't finish the tower? And are we in the business of counting cost? Are we in the business of keeping score? Are we in the business of throwing away the way in which God has called us to be and losing our very saltiness? Or are we in the business of building a beautiful place on a beautiful beach, knowing that one day it might be wiped away? There's a poem. I've read this before, but I wanted to come back to it today because I just think it's so. It just serves as a reminder for us. It was originally written by a guy by the name of Kent Keith, and he wrote it for a little handout and kind of student workshop he was doing at a university. And Kent Keith's still around. He's a head of a Christian school, Christian university. Oh gosh, I can't remember where, in the Philippines, I think, maybe someplace. But he's a neat guy, and and somewhere along the line, Mother Teresa got a hold of this poem, and she tweaked it a little bit, or at least the copy that she had, and it was found on her wall in her quarters after she had died, um, and 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 this instinct, this essence is that is reflected in this poem. I think is at the heart of what Jesus is driving at when he's trying to tell his disciples about the cost, because it's not that unless that once you're willing to give up these things, once you're willing to invest in once you're willing to truly invest, once you're willing to not lose your saltiness, there's actually a whole world that opens up to you, and that you can actually have those things when you follow the one who made you versus our own smallness and our own being. And so the poem is called Anyway, and I want to close with it today for you. So, people are often unreasonable and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are honest, people may cheat you. Be honest anyway. If you find happiness, people may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today may be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give your best anyway. For you see, in the end, it is between you and God, and it was never between you and them anyway. Peace and grace, my friends, on this Tuesday, the beginning of October, and we'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.